Hi, and welcome to Free Money in the Market, a podcast where we talk about all things business and economics related. Quick disclaimer before we get started, we do just want to say that everything that we talk about is our own view and that we do not recommend that you take any form of recommendation from us. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy the episode.
Right now, because the stock market just
On the air
opened,
with breaking
it just
news
closed.
and the
Within
turmoil
30
on Wall
seconds.
Street.
We've got this 1,200-point rally.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're
Welcome to this episode of Free Money in the Market. This episode is brought to you by Social Media Saviors. You can check them out at socialmediasaviors.com. They're your one-stop shop for everything social media needs. My buddy Ben here, why don't you take it away and let everyone know.
Yeah, so Social Media Saviors is all about empowering small businesses. So we work with several small businesses in Rhode Island right now, and what I try to do is develop content that their viewers and their customers are going to like, and provide some value for them and build the engagement, and do things like that.
Shameless plug. Let's jump right into it. So it was pretty up week, honestly, for the market this past
I would say
Pretty up.
pretty up. It was actually the best week since 1938, and
70
there was
74.
I saw 1938.
that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you're behind.
Well,
Wait, how can that be true though?
what do you mean?
The best week since 1930.
Yeah, wait, no, time out. Because a few weeks ago, they said it was the best week since '38.
Best day.
Oh, best day. I was gonna say because then this
Best
week couldn't have
day.
been better than that.
Yeah, I think this week we're up close to like 12%.
I'll have to check, but I mean, we had the crazy Monday. Monday was insane.
Yeah,
Nutty week.
it was up. The Dow was up 1,500 points, I think, or 1,600 at the end of that, which is crazy. Yeah, but I mean, as far as news, the only real new stuff to come out is just more of the Fed just pumping money out. Like,
Yeah.
there's no tomorrow. They don't give a shit about any form of inflation in the next couple of years, I guess.
They're just hoping it doesn't take effect. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's lucky that we've had historically low inflation for so long. Because if we were in like a 10% inflation environment and they were doing all this, imagine what
Oh my God.
would happen. Like,
Right.
so they're lucky that we're already in a environment where they can just print money and not worry about it. But
Do you think that's what prompted the rally this week? Was just the enormous amount of Fed printing? Because like that old saying goes, "Don't fight the Fed," and I think their aggressiveness has kind of been why I think we were, or at least myself, why I was wrong about why I think the market was going to go much lower. I just didn't anticipate them being this aggressive with the stimulus that they were going to put into the system.
I mean, I think that they, yes, to answer your question, but I think that they kind of just realized and got pushed by Mnuchin and everyone in
yeah,
Congress that, hey, like this is really, we've never had 10 plus million people out of work. And this is, I mean, I don't know the numbers of the Great Depression. I'm sure it was close, but in scale, it was probably close anyways. But because it
yeah,
definitely wasn't 10 million.
the
Yeah,
population wasn't even close to as what it
exactly.
is now. Yeah,
So I think that because the Fed got pushed so hard, it was like, all right, they gotta just print money, and they gotta throw it at everyone.
they still have. I mean, if you think about it, their goal is to put money in all of our pockets to spend and put it back in the economy. But they still haven't got the $1,200 checks out, and they still haven't done the unemployment increase. It's supposed to. Both of those, I think, are supposed to start this week. And technically, the unemployment thing is up to the states because the states, they're all their
Yeah.
labor training departments are the ones that are actually going to be doing it. So certain states might have already taken that. Like the effect might have already started, but in Rhode Island, I know it hasn't. It might start this upcoming week, but I'm not sure.
It's going to be a messy process,
Yeah.
There's just so much demand in such a short period of time. Like, I don't think a lot of these states are going to have the infrastructure to keep up with it. So, I don't know. I'd like to see these social media companies helping out, like Facebook getting in there, Apple maybe getting in there, and helping these states out with their technology. I mean, that's one way that these big tech companies could help.
Yeah, I mean, we brought up the conversation point earlier that Jack Dorsey just tweeted out how he can he's essentially like, I don't know how it's going to be doing, but how he's going to be doing it, but he's funneling payments through the Cash App, which is
Mhm.
owned by Square, which is a stock that we talk about all the time.
Yep.
It's
Trade
a
it.
really good company. So I think I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I've said it in the past, especially on this podcast. I've said it in the past that I think that Square is going to have some part in this because
Yeah.
of their position with small businesses, with people, with everything.
I wonder if PayPal can do something similar there with their Venmo platform as well. That'd be
You-
creative.
I think PayPal is more aligned with larger, like vendors, larger customers than Square. Square really was the innovator and took hold of the entire small business like sector.
The
Yeah. Oh yeah.
entire small business.
No one cared
Absolutely.
about the small businesses like Visa, Mastercard, PayPal. They all ignored them because it's almost like the cost to acquire those customers outweighed the benefit. But Square somehow figured it out and just like took advantage of it, which is crazy.
But I think it's because they started like in an era where the technology was there to do that. And since they started, like, Dorsey started the company, actually, he started the company in like 2009, I believe, or maybe even earlier.
Somewhere
But
around there, yeah.
yeah, but it obviously didn't become like too prominent of a company until past 5 years or so. But I think that because they were such a small company, that like PayPal has been around since the 90s. Visa, Mastercard been around since I don't even know, honestly. But Square like is just new. So I'm I'm sure that Visa, Mastercard, PayPal all had like they dipped their hands in the pot of small businesses
Yeah.
along their rise, but I don't know.
I was actually listening to a podcast, not as good as ours, but the other day, and
Natural.
they had the Square co-founder on, not Jack Dorsey, the other guy who no one, I
Yeah.
don't know, I forget his name.
Nobody
But
knows them.
they're from like the same town and stuff, and
Yeah.
so at one point, it's interesting. Once Square started seeing success, Amazon tried to basically run them out of business, and
Really?
yeah, and the guy who was on the podcast like ended up writing a book about how they survived Amazon's like onslaught because that's so rare. Like
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
you company to be targeted by Amazon and survive and
Is
like
that
make it out the
poison?
other end. And
Is that the
Amazon ended
poison?
up giving up.
Is that the poison pill? What's that called?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Is it that book? No, I think it's a new book because I think that's why he was on the podcast. He was like promoting his new
No,
book.
no. What's it called when you're trying to take over? I mean, a hostile
Well,
takeover,
hostile. Well, I don't
obviously.
think they did it with the stock. Did
Oh
they?
no,
Yeah.
no, it
How was?
was. They were literally just trying to steal all their customers. Like Amazon was
Oh,
trying to start like a small business like
yeah.
payment
That's what I thought.
thing. But you're yeah, poison pill. You're referring to when some company is like trying to take you over, so you purposefully like do things to the stock to make it less attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or to,
Yeah. Okay.
like you dilute your own share owners and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just
You
like
can do
screw,
crazy
you
stuff to
screw
like ruin
You
it for
can.
them.
to
It's
make
so funny.
yourself less attractive for like
Yeah.
Yeah.
hostile takeovers. Um, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And like on the subject of Square, the news came out that Dorsey was donating his 1 billion of his stock for COVID relief.
It's not
Uh,
enough.
and it's kind of funny because the day I think that came out before the market opened on Monday, was it? And then
It was Tuesday or
or
Wednesday it
Tuesday.
happened.
I remember the market opened. Oh my god, my dog is going crazy. Hey, hey.
Ellie.
The market opened and like wasn't the market as a whole like wasn't really up much,
But
and
Square was.
Square was up like 7% on open. So apparently like
I think it went up like 15% that day at one point, and then
yeah,
it fell back down to like 11% up.
Dude,
So
I can't believe Square is like almost back to like the December prices, like when I sold it. Like
it's
it's almost like nothing happened. Like there's
yeah.
no virus. These businesses are acting as normal. Like I think that this is totally absurd, but we'll see.
I remember a few weeks ago you were like, should I just buy Square at 39 right now? And
I was
we were
thinking
like,
about it.
And we
yeah,
said yes.
And I said,
Now,
nah, it's gonna get where the market's gonna go even low. I thought the market was. I didn't think the market was gonna have the week that it had this week. I thought it was gonna be much different. So I was very wrong.
yeah, I mean, we've
really.
talked about it last week as well, how closely the market right now is following the 2008,
Is it
2009.
still though? Because
Yes.
I don't know if
Yes,
this happened. This
it did.
okay.
Yeah, it's still pretty crazy. So it had a little spike like this one, and then after this one is when it crashed down. So in 2008, 2009, when the VIX spiked over to up to like 100 or whatever, and then came back down to the mid 40s, is when it spiked back up to 80.
I don't know. You gotta put that chart up there because
Yeah, I will.
what I'm seeing, I looked at your text right now, is that they had the initial flush down, then they go back up, and then it flushes much lower. But we took out like that initial bounce back. And then we got to put up an S&P 500 chart, and then I'm gonna go to the S&P 500 on my computer real quick, and so I can give you some numbers here.
Hmm.
So you notice if you look at the S&P now, we flushed all the way up from like 3,000 all the way down to what is that low there? 2,100.
2132, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
yep. And then we bounced up to the 2,600, flushed a little bit lower, and then took out that 2,600 level. And what my point of all this is that I didn't see in 2008 them take out that next level after they initially flushed. It's kind of hard to understand when there's no chart there, but
yeah.
um,
No, I get what you're saying.
this looks different to me. This looks like it's continuing out of it, especially that we took out that 2,700 level on decent volume too, which
So
is
you do have to take into account though that the 2008, 2009 happened over 5 months, or even more actually, like 11 months.
yeah.
The
This,
whole thing was, yeah, it was like 15 months. Like,
yeah,
start
this
to finish.
has been like 40 days max. So it's like if you condense
Yeah, I know.
2000, if you
Yeah,
take like I think it's August 2008 until September 2009, then it should be a pretty closely following chart to what
it's just a more condensed version because we're doing it
exactly.
so quickly. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it looks the same, but it's harder
The
to
top
if we're not looking at the same chart right now, so it's hard for me to point it
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think the time frame is obviously way different,
Yeah,
but maybe like the patterns are somewhat similar. Because I mean, this always happens when the market gets oversold. It's a dead cat bounce, like I said last week, and
right.
you get the initial bounce of everyone saying, "Oh, I think we bottomed," and everyone then starts to get the FOMO, and they start
Yep,
buying.
yep.
But
Right, so
then
I thought we had the dead cat bounce. The dead cat
I
bounce,
think
this is
we are on
perfect,
it
was
right
at
now.
2,600.
I think we're at the top of it right now. It depends
Okay.
what you think, but
Yeah.
and then one piece of bad news comes back out. Like let's say next week, the New York like daily death toll somehow doubles from this week, even though everyone's saying it's starting to decline. Let's
Right.
say that happens, we're gonna go right back. We'll go right back down.
We go right back down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. The easy way to explain it was that I thought the dead cat bounce was when we went up to 2,600, and then I thought we were going to flush lower on the S&P 500, but instead of flushing at the 2,600 level, we sold off briefly down to 2,400, and then we went higher up to 2,800.
Higher, yeah.
Yeah,
So
27.
that pattern doesn't happen on the picture that I saw from 2008. That's my point. The dead cat
So
bounce went much lower after that.
so just out of interest, I'm gonna try and pull it up and share my screen with you guys so you can see. But we can also, at the same time I'm doing this, we can quickly talk on the topic of kind of like the text because we're talking about Square. I wanted to talk about Zoom because,
Oh
as
yeah.
you can tell watching the video, we're not using Zoom anymore.
Yeah.
Nope.
Basically, there's a huge security concern with the platform. We touched on it briefly last week, but it was involved in a very, very big security issue. And I think a lot of it was because of the fact that it was it's a Chinese-based company. So I don't know if you guys have any input on it.
Well, I think they were found that they were accidentally routing calls through China. So basically, the Chinese have access to all the video streams and all the data in real time. And they claimed
Yeah.
that it was some sort of accident. And then I know the people that do their encryptions and that sort of security stuff are outsourced in China. So, and then when you work in China, you have to give government total access to, all your technology whenever they demand it. So that just means that that encryption stuff it really isn't safe because the Chinese have access to it whenever they want.
Yes. So we strayed away from Zoom and are now using Microsoft-owned Skype.
US based. Yeah.
US based. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be easy enough to pull up this chart, honestly.
Yeah, just put it in like the.
Yeah, you can edit in it later, but
Yeah.
I think I made the main point. The dead cat bounce like made it so I could explain that better. That was a good phrase.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where we're going after this because it seems that we've climbed
Yeah, I
too
don't know what to think, man.
quick, but
Way too
Yeah, I
quick.
agree with you. I don't know what to expect.
I might have to change my mind on the we make a new low though, because I'm not even sure
Yeah.
if it's gonna happen now. Because
How can that happen?
it'd be ridiculous. We'd have to have another like 20% sell off. Like it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna make that new low. So that claim seems to be out the window.
Yeah, I
I
think
would
we're
bet
all,
that we're gonna chop around the low 2000s with the
we'll
S&P
be talking
500, but
for a while. There's no way. There's no if somehow this continues and we like start coming up on 3,000 on the S&P, I'll probably sell like everything in my account because like that's just
100%.
But dude, do you think there's like enough QE to justify that though? I mean, with all the liquidity they've added, is it just like that's because
no,
they
because
put in so much money?
now they're coming in and supporting like the whole bond market like crazy. Like this week they announced they're gonna start buying like high yield junk bonds, and
Yeah,
that's never
which is
happened
crazy.
in the history. That's never happened in the history of like the Fed. Just they buy treasuries all the time, but then recently the past couple weeks they were buying a lot of investment grade corps, and now this week they said they were gonna start buying junk bonds, which is like never
Unprecedented.
happened before. So like anything under like triple B on the rating. They're buying basically everything they can just to support prices in the market
So
right now.
so what does that mean? That just so that they keep those bonds from falling to the floor?
There's such a lack of liquidity. A lot of people can't. People are trying to sell their bonds and they can't find any bids. So
Right.
the Fed is stepping in and basically bidding in the place of retail investors and
So
institutional.
basically, any loan is going to be backed by the federal government, is what it
Essentially.
seems like.
Well,
I mean, for the most part, but you still have a ton of different mortgage loans aren't going to be. They are up to a certain point, I believe.
Yeah.
But if it's through a bank, it's not going to be.
you mean
But
when you say that, do you mean because people aren't going to pay their loans?
Yeah,
And
I
they're
just mean eventually it's going to get backstopped by the federal government. The federal government will be left holding the bag when all these people default.
yeah. Who else is going to do it? The landlords aren't going to do it, and the
yeah,
banks aren't going to do it. It's not fair.
Right. So instead of the businesses going out of
Problem
business, I
is,
guess the debt's just going to balloon because these things are
yeah.
going to be worthless.
Problem is, the businesses are suffering. Not it's not their own choice to shut down. The government's telling them to shut
Right.
down.
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like, who if anybody should like end up being the one holding the bag? It
Well, I
probably should
don't
be.
think they should be. Yeah. No,
No,
I'm
it
just
should be the
yeah.
government. It wouldn't be fair to have it on the shoulders of this,
Right.
like especially the small businesses that don't have
Yeah.
like the cash reserves that an Apple or a Google have.
Yeah.
I
Don't
mean,
have it at all.
exactly. Speaking of Apple and Google, though, this came out like a few hours ago, and I haven't even read it yet. But I know we mentioned like we hope that they will step in and try to do something to help. I added this bullet just now. They're partnering to start a contact tracing technology for like the virus. So basically, like they're going to come up with some type of technology that can trace how this is all getting transmitted from one person to the next and try like ways to slow that down.
Kramer's been saying that. But first of all, is my camera working right now?
Yeah. We see
Yeah.
it.
Okay, because it's frozen up on my screen.
Yeah.
So Kramer's been saying that for the past like fucking month. How he wants like Apple to implement something into the Apple Watch that can take your temperature or some shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it should be that hard.
It
I
doesn't.
feel like
I
it
think they've
should
dropped
be.
the ball, dude. Like I don't know why
Yeah.
this took so long for us to do anything. I mean, I was worried about this in February. People thought I was nuts.
No, I mean it's just no one understood how fucking serious this was gonna be. So it's just
Yeah. I think a lot of people were of the mindset that it's just not going to reach the U.S. for a
yeah.
while. Like throughout all of January, that seemed like to
Yeah.
be the
We're just a bunch
January.
of procrastinators. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, we
Humans
really are.
just procrastinate until it's like, oh shit, we gotta do something, and then we crank out something crazy. That's like awesome.
We're
That's what we
fat,
do.
we're lazy, we fucking love barbecues and fucking
We say that.
lawnmowers and shit. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I love barbecues.
same. I'm American.
4th of July, greatest holiday.
What else we got here? We got earnings season starting up, which is going to be fun.
It's gonna
Oh
be
my god.
real fun.
I don't know how the market's. I guess
So
maybe the market just won't even judge what these earnings are. It's like
exactly,
irrelevant.
exactly like what I was
It's gonna
thinking
be
of, like,
relevant. I think
like the,
so. A lot of companies have already pulled their earnings and their guidance. I mean,
yeah,
which is expected. And like even on the days that those companies pull their guidance, the stock doesn't go down. as it would in a normal environment. So I think that we're just going to be ignoring everything that comes out of this.
I've heard a lot of the companies are they're gonna have to that well legally like they have to post their numbers every quarter, but they're not gonna have like
Yep.
a conference call. There's like no point because like
Yeah.
to give guidance or explain why your restaurant is like down 70% year over year for revs is why do you, like isn't it obvious, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of them
Yeah.
aren't going to be doing like the traditional conference call, like explaining their numbers because they're just going to post their numbers because they have to and then move on because they
Yeah.
got bigger to deal with. So that's probably you're going to see a lot of that too,
Yeah.
especially in beaten up industries.
Yeah, they're
And
gonna
due
suspend their
to
guidance. I thought I heard like a lot of companies just.
yeah, they already have a lot of
Yeah.
them.
A lot have or revised it to the point where like, all right, it's going to be bad, but we're not sure how bad type of thing. Like, how specific can you be if you don't know when your company is allowed to like reopen?
Yeah. So we have this week we have basically just a ton of banks, which will be interesting because banks
Yeah.
are kind of at the forefront of all of this, being the lenders to every
Yep.
small business and person. Um, so that's going to be an interesting one because you think that some form of something might have spiked in like mid to late March, but within the banks, but who knows?
What spiked?
Like some form of new customers, new anything. I don't know.
Oh, I don't want these banks because I don't. They need the interest rates to make any decent money, basically, and interest rates aren't going back up for 2 or 3 years. I would think, right? I mean, it's going to take a while to churn
Yeah.
through all this. I think. I mean, at least not in the next 12 months. I wouldn't buy any of these
They
things. They
still
have
have
good
they still
dividends
have
though.
balance sheets though. Like they're not going to go anywhere. The
Not going to
big
go anywhere, but
no.
they're not going to move they're going to underperform the market like they did before this whole fiasco. Remember, like financials were so dog before.
Dude,
No one liked them.
banks haven't done anything since 2017. They haven't done
Yeah,
anything.
they've just all underperformed. So I think it's going to be more the same of that underperformance. This environment's not great for banks. So why would banks outperform? That makes no
I don't
sense.
know. Some of them this week, a lot of them popped.
Oh,
City
they
did.
yeah. Well, yeah. They go down like 40%. Yeah, they rip back 25%. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks nice,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't think that's gonna last.
No,
yeah.
I
Just
agree.
yesterday, J.P. Morgan was up 9% yesterday. Like what the hell?
Citigroup was up a ton this week too. I don't know the
Yeah,
exact number, but
Yeah, that's like one of the worst ones out there. I think anything like U.S. you wanted to get. I mean, J.P. Morgan's obviously best of breed than like Bank of America and stuff like that. Um, I guess Wells is like wicked cheap. I don't know. Kramer
it
says that
is.
he really
It is.
really
Cheap.
trusts
Like,
they're the
like
new management team.
yeah,
So
it's like 6 p or something like
I
that, or
wouldn't get
7.
anything levered to Europe at all. I mean, I think Europe's going to
yeah.
take longer. So I mean, that's Citi, right?
Oh, Citi's a U.S. bank too.
I
yeah,
thought
it's
Citi does a lot of international though. I
Yeah,
thought.
I think a lot of like all the big names kind of do that.
yeah, they might, but it's still pretty US based. I mean,
City, yeah, it is.
yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, J.P. Morgan on March 23rd was $79, and yesterday it closed just under 103. Like that's a quick
Jesus.
26
Crazy.
7%
Yeah.
in a little over just under 3 weeks. You get like 23% bounce.
I
That's
think
crazy.
they report Tuesday their earnings, so that'll be an interesting one
It
because
will be.
I mean they're
James Simon
obviously
is still recovering from his like health issues, and
What's
um,
wrong with them?
he had like a heart attack or something, right?
Really?
Yeah, he's been in the hospital.
was the CEO.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon.
James
Yeah,
Simon's
I
yeah.
bet
He,
your mic cut out, and I was like, "Who's this?"
oh my bad. Yeah, he had emergency heart surgery, and it was
Wow.
about a month ago, and I think he just got out of the like hospital. I don't know.
Jeez, how old is he? He doesn't look that old.
I think he's only like 60 or in his mid 50s. I
And
think.
he's like not fat, so I don't know. That's
He's
crazy. Maybe he's
like
just got a bad heart. That's sad.
oh,
Sucks.
actually, wow, he's 64. He looks really
Oh
good.
wow.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
good for
yeah.
his
Wow.
age.
He looks
So I'm
really
like,
good.
heart attack or emergency heart surgery. That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 60s.
You
That's
could
when
just
they.
have a bad heart, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
sure that job's a little bit stressful, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe there's a little
Time.
bit of stress in there, a little bit of genetic thing going on. Who knows?
Big time.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he's probably more stressed coming up to this earnings season, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that next week, I believe the 21st, Netflix reports, AMD reports the 29th, I believe. Disney is somewhere in between them two, so that will be an interesting one.
We are all Disney shareholders in this call.
Yeah. Full disclosure on that one.
I want more shares, so if you want to sell me any, below like 90, like please let me know.
Yeah, 93, I probably won't be able to resist. 92,
Yeah.
but but yeah, for Disney, it's like it's nice to see. Obviously, they just came out with they hit the 50 million milestone on the Disney Plus subscribers, which took them 5 months compared to Netflix taking 7 years. But the thing is, when Netflix started their subscription system, I think it was 2007.
Yeah.
So they hit 50 million in 2014. But back then, people were still ordering DVDs through the mail and
Yeah, nobody knew
Yeah.
about it.
waiting
You
for
know?
them to show up 2 weeks later. Like what?
Yeah.
Like that's just it's just a different world now. And
Right.
Yeah, because
obviously, the coronavirus thing helped Disney like spike to 50 million. But I mean, they're
so
still nowhere near Netflix.
Hulu subscriptions wouldn't be in that number,
No,
right?
it's completely
No.
separate, but they do benefit from that too,
Yeah,
obviously.
obviously.
Yeah.
Unless the package that comes with Hulu too,
That's
right?
a hell of a deal, man.
It's such a good deal.
Dude,
$14 for
yeah.
Hulu, Disney Plus,
I thought it
and
was
ESPN Plus.
12.99. Is it
I don't know
14?
what it is,
I don't
but
remember.
I
I
think it's
had it for a while.
12.99, dude.
It's
I think it's
crazy.
crazy cheap.
so I don't know if how they separate that out if someone buys the bundle. You know what I mean?
What do you
Oh,
mean?
for subscriptions,
Because
like
that
each one
So,
of those.
person is
so
basically a Hulu subscriber and a Disney Plus subscriber.
correct. So the way, because I had the bundle for a while.
Okay.
Um, Now I just have them both separately because I have Disney Plus free thanks to Verizon. Verizon's a cool company. Um, so how it gets billed? It gets billed as your normal Hulu subscription. I wish I could talk, and then a Disney Plus subscription. So it's two separate.
Oh, it shows it separately. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
So
slightly discounted because you did the bundle.
exactly.
I think most of the bad news has already been in place for Disney too. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
those reopenings. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's a company that I feel like kind of already might have bottomed in
Yeah,
this whole
yeah.
fiasco.
I feel like there's there can't it can't not be priced in at this point for
Yeah.
Disney to be like it's going down.
So
I
But
heard,
yeah,
I heard 2021 they still only expect half the like foot traffic in the parks, but I don't believe that at all because so like you know how many families literally just have an annual Disney trip? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people I know are just like obsessed with Disney. You know, they go every year or something like
yeah.
that. I know plenty of people like that.
But you do also have to take into consideration that yes, the parks is what how much of their revenue is the
50. It's
parks?
like
50.
50-50.
It's a lot of their profitability in
Yeah.
terms
So
of
you
their
got to think
profitability.
all of like Pixar movies, all their original series on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
all movies that they had in the works, all are now cut. Marvel movies,
What do you mean cut? They're just pushed
because
back,
they're
right?
not. Yeah, they're pushed
Yeah,
back. So
they're
Well, it's
postponed.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I thought you
so
meant like they're not doing them
no,
anymore.
no, they cut
Yeah.
production of it right now. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows when they're gonna start again? Like when they get the okay to start
I
again.
feel like in the summer, I think in the summer we're gonna go back to normal. I think the real question is what's gonna happen in the fall when it gets colder again, when the virus can spread more easily.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're gonna have a relatively normal summer, honestly. So maybe they can get some stuff done during that time and then kind of judge it. But I do think that 2021, I kind of agree with Alex that that's like BS. I think people are gonna be going back because I think we're gonna have a vaccine around that time in like January or February because we knew about this in like December, January. So maybe these companies started in this February. So a year.
I
I
think
think
the
that's doable.
estimates. I think J&J is the one that is estimated to probably be the first to get the vaccine done, but I think they were January or February of
Yeah.
2021.
So that's
Yeah.
perfect. So that fits right in with so
Yeah.
the vaccine's available. I think people immediately feel more comfortable to go and go back
Do
to
stuff.
traveling. Yeah. I think that part is gonna go very quick. So the vaccine goes, travel comes right back. That's
And
what I think would happen.
I think
Yeah.
too they were talking about I don't know what might have been this week. They were talking about how they're gonna do like fever checks or something when you get
Yeah.
into the park,
A
which
lot
is
of
crazy.
different protocols.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, you're a fucking idiot if you're going to a
I think you're
theme
crazy.
park with a fever,
No,
let
that's
alone if it's just the flu
Well,
or
maybe you
just
don't
like
know, but I think
yeah,
the fever thing is also like a lagging indicator. You can have the fever, you can have the virus and not have a fever. So I
yeah.
mean,
I
it
think it's
just
just
makes
like
people
a
feel better. I think.
exactly. It's like a precautionary, just makes you feel
Yeah,
better. But,
yeah. Asymptomatic carriers won't have a fever, so
yeah,
yeah,
no. Yeah,
just about making people feel better.
pretty much.
yeah. I mean, it's a pretty shitty environment that no one feels better in, but.
for sure.
So J&J reports this week too. Because we were just talking about them.
It should be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They've acted good throughout this whole thing. Their stocks performed pretty well.
Well, they
yeah,
bounced back once they started talking about working on a vaccine. Like,
Yeah.
what was that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? They bottomed pretty much with the rest of the market. But if you look at the chart, look how like their spike from March 23rd is probably one of the most pronounced out of any other stock. Like it's just shot right
Yeah,
back.
and they have the AAA balance sheet as well, right?
Oh yeah,
If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. Yeah.
yeah, and a good,
Solid
good
company.
dividend yield. A lot of people are trying to probably made good entry points a
yeah,
few weeks
the
ago.
lows.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
my
and
AbbVie entry point. Yeah.
I know Kramer always talks about them having like I think a migraine drug that's going to be coming to market pretty soon that he says is
Yeah,
very
Kramer has
promising.
terrible migraines. Yeah.
Yeah, he says that drug is like a total game changer. So yeah,
I
that to
like
look
that.
forward to as well with Johnson and Johnson. So some
I
things to
think
be excited about there.
AbbVie, because they bought out Allergen, and Allergen has, I think, the leading migraine drug right now,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. So I guess
Drug, or
AbbVie owns the
is
rights
it
to it
like
now.
an over-the-counter one, or is it?
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah. 'Cause there's a bunch. I mean, is it like?
Oh, if you had bought Abby, we got to talk about some of the things that we made, the calls that we made that worked out well. I mean, like Abby ripped right back when we were talking about that 2 3 weeks ago, right? I mean, that was in like the low 60s. We taled about that. It's like
Yeah.
low 80s today. I mean, that was giving you a 7% dividend right back then, or 6% dividend. It was crazy.
Yeah, I hopped in at a 6%er.
Yeah, I mean, so
Small
that's
position, but I mean, it'll be worth the 6% at least. So
I think a lot of the companies we talked about actually ended up holding up pretty well. I know I mentioned Chewy. Chewy was doing really well because everyone's ordering
yeah,
their stuff
Yeah.
online. That's done well.
Yeah,
So
I think a lot of the ones we mentioned
did
during
good.
the first
Twitter.
episode at Connor's house. I mean,
Yep.
if you look back, they've probably popped off since then. Well, I mean, the whole market did, but they, relatively speaking,
Yeah.
they're probably still outperformers.
I think we've
yeah.
been right about the stocks, but wrong about the direction of the overall market, or at least me.
I almost want to like go back and get a list of everything that we talked about in the first episode, and then kind of like do an entry point of from like that day,
Yeah.
Or the
and
following
then
Monday. Yeah.
yeah, the following Monday we buy 10 shares of each, say, on like a fake spreadsheet, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
then put it to the price today and just see how much we would have made.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe we
like
could do like a
indexing
paper
it out.
trade. We could do like a paper
Yeah, you
trading
can do like
version of free money in the market.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can do it on like Investopedia too.
yeah,
They let you paper trade on there.
Make a mock portfolio for
Yeah.
the suggestions that we made. That'd be pretty cool, actually.
yeah. I agree.
I have my own paper trading account to try to practice to see if I'm as good as I thought I was. It's going pretty
You're
good.
not.
Do options on the paper trading too?
I haven't done options yet. Connor's gonna teach me how to do those
Yeah, you
options.
should definitely.
I should do that. That's actually a good idea. Yeah, the
Yeah.
paper trading. Anybody out there, if you want to start learning, there's free paper trading things out there that give you like a mock $100,000. You can take positions and buy and sell in real time with fake
Yeah,
money.
it's probably best to practice before you start shoving money into the market. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's always
Yeah.
a good idea.
I mean, I just shoved money into the market. But I was also studying this, so it was kind of like,
Yeah.
but
You never know what you're doing with your first few investments. It's kind of you're there to learn. You're putting money in that you don't expect to have anymore. That's how I looked at it. I said, look, this money is to learn. If I lose, it was like a couple grand. It was like $2,000. I was
Yeah.
like, if I lose it, I lose it. But at least I learned something, really
yeah,
important for the rest of my life.
that's
That's how
that's
everyone should
exactly
look
what
at
I
it,
started with.
especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. This is pretty boring week, but
Slow week.
I don't know.
Happy Easter.
Oh yeah. Happy
Good
long
Friday,
weekend.
yeah. Well,
I didn't have to work today because the
Made,
market was closed. So that's
I
good.
almost asked you that. I forgot.
Yeah,
Since it
market
was
was closed
closed.
today. No matter what, if it's open, I have to work. If it's closed, I don't. So
Oh, that's cool. Do you still get paid?
yeah.
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think we could probably wrap this up.
I
Short
think
week,
so.
short podcast, short week. We only
Yeah.
have 4-day trading week, as we just talked about. So that knocks off about 10 minutes from the podcast.
Yeah, about 20% of the podcast is unnecessary.
just gone.
Only had 4
No,
days.
not really, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. Call it a night.
All right.
Episode 4 coming at you live from I don't even know
Skype.
Saturday night. Live
Friday
from
night?
Skype.
Nice
It's
try.
Friday night.
Yep.
Well, I was saying like SNL. Okay.
Oh.
Live from New York.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Later, guys.
Bye.
See-